Laptop open on the counter, cold compiling toast pops hot.
Welcome to the Neo Notebook. It's us four guys talking about the MacBook Neo and the news of the week and other topics that have come along. I'm Marty Gensius, a professor and counselor educator and a podcaster and just a person who really enjoys technology. And I've got three other people on the panel with me. Let's go to David.
Dave Ginsburg here. I'm an IT professional and the host of the In Touch with iOS podcast.
Eric.
Hi, I'm Eric Bolden, and earlier today I was out planting strawberries. Now we're discussing Neo. It's a good day.
Brett.
All right. I'm Brett Kennedy. I'm a 33-year Mac veteran, and I have an interest in photos, video, and traveling.
Okay, wow. Prior to starting the show, I was with the folks talking about what my week is going to look like with graduation. I'm not graduating, but at the university's graduation, so it's a big week to get things done. And then followed by having to clean out my office, and I sent them pictures of my empty office. So after 26 years of crap, cleaning that out, and I pity the people who have to go through the recyclables and pull all that stuff out. And also some of the old stuff that I decided to throw out after 26 years. But it's good. It's like, it's like an intestinal cleanse of your office. It's a good way to think about it. And then, oh yeah, my son's getting married on Saturday. And so all the last minute stuff that's going on in preparation. So we have a big show for you today. Lots of material. Not sure we're going to get to all of it. We'll probably cruise through sections of it where there'll be multiple articles under that section, and we'll talk about the themes. But you can get all of the links at youtube.com/@the-Neo-Notebook. That is our YouTube channel. So on the finished video product, you'll have all the links in it. And if you're listening to this as a podcast, the links will also be in the show notes. And of course, you can join us live on Sunday nights at 9 p.m. And we've got some folks already in the chat room. Peter Emery and Oliver Niehaus are in the chat room and are already commenting about stuff. And you can comment along with them live on Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. So let's get into, well, I'd like to start. Had any of you listened to or followed up or took a look at the Six Colors article about the quarterly report?
Oh, yeah.
Dave, you want to start?
Yeah, it had some pretty amazing results. I mean, as you said, as you got in the notes here, Tim Cook acknowledged that the demand for the MacBook Neo has been just off the charts since March, and they can't believe the unreal enthusiasm for this laptop, and I'm all blown away about it too. And to be able to do $111.2 billion in revenue is just insane. The stock did react pretty quickly right after the announcement the next day, because I think it's trading around what was it last I looked was it's at $280 a share. So it was up over 5% the next day. So, but overall, Mac is doing really well. iPhone's still dominant. Services are going to continue to rise with all the services that Apple offers. Now with the change to John Turnus and handing the keys over from Tim's going to hand the keys over in September. There's already start some rumors and discussions of where John's going to take the lead on. So I'm sure he's going to put his things in place to what he'd like to see. Yeah, I think this was a pretty incredible quarter for Apple, and the Neo just really drove it. Really, in my opinion.
Brett, you have anything to add? Did you get a chance to listen to any of the quarterly stuff?
I haven't had a chance to listen to the entire call, but I find it surprising that Apple was so surprised by being able to have a laptop at this price point that it would sell really well. I thought that they would have kind of anticipated their demand a little bit better. But overall, yeah, they had a very impressive quarter, and I'm happy to see the Neo is a big part of that success right now.
And Eric, what's your words on it?
Uh, there was a lot of surprise, whether it's totally real surprise or marketing surprise, I'm not really sure. But the numbers are really good on the Neo. The one thing I really hope somebody will look into more is I'm not sure if the initial sales right away were the audience they were going after, because it looks like the non-Mac new users, they seem to it it's like the last couple weeks that there seems to be a lot more of them picking up Neos. um so I think this is going to be an even bigger seller than their surprise look how much there is.
So
I don't think it's
clarify,
peaked.
yeah, clarify this. What do you mean that who were they initially going for that they wound up getting instead, and that they're now getting? I was unclear about what you were saying there.
Well, so I think it's intended to go after people that had had Chromebooks and needed to upgrade, had old laptops and needed to upgrade, people who weren't already Mac users. So new people new to the Mac. And we're definitely seeing that now, coming out commentary, a lot more people. But I don't think that was all of the initial people. I think the initial people, it was, I had a Mac and I dropped it and I needed to replace it. Oh, this is a good deal. It was too expensive to buy a second MacBook Pro, but a Neo that works really well. I mean, there were a lot of people that weren't in the new to Apple list. The people that have a mini or a studio and are running a bunch of stuff on it, but just want a machine that they can relax with next to the sofa while watching TV, or to take with them to the coffee shop without stressing about losing a really expensive laptop. That seemed to be a lot of the initial people. And it's taken a while for the news to get out and for the audience they're going after to find it. Now, I mean, maybe that's not entirely true, because schools are certainly putting in orders, but I don't know if they were getting in orders, in the first couple of weeks or the first month, where they decided they were going to have to up the number of machines they were making.
Yeah, and Oliver put in the chat, don't know how Neo will survive the back to school season.
He's right.
Yeah, and we've got a couple of stories on that coming up, and one that has, I think, an amazing picture to it that shows a stack of Neos that a school district, I think, is looking at purchasing. Our next kind of topic is supply chain, and actually Oliver had something to say about that. Really concerned about supply chain issues, confirmed by Tim. He did talk about that during the report. I was giving a final exam to my students, and when you give final exams, you sit in the front of the room with like nothing to do, and I popped my earphone in and listened to it. And it was fun. It was absolutely fun while they were suffering trying to come up with answers to questions I'd put together. But I listened to that part, and where Tim kind of said, yeah, we're going to have supply chain issues. We're going to have supply chain issues with the Mac Mini. Yeah. We're going to have supply chain issues with the Mac Studios and the MacBook Neo. So he confirmed that it'll take several months to achieve supply-demand balance with the Macs, is what Oliver is saying. So, yeah. So I think the way we kind of interpret supply chain is when we see what's going on in the stores, when we hear about how you can get it here quicker, and the stories are not consistent. Somebody will post, I didn't have a problem, I just walked in and there it was. And other folks who are trying to purchase online going, I couldn't get my pink Neo for another 4 weeks. And other people saying, that's funny, I got a 512 pink just walking into the store. So a couple of articles, one from 9 to 5 Mac and also one from Mac Observer, talking about the concerns that are present with the supply chain and issues with the supply chain. So this comes from 9 to 5 Mac just a couple of days ago. MacBook Neo starts May with delivery dates stretching to the month's end, and talks about a little bit about that. And then Mac Observer, Apple's MacBook Neo supply problems continue in May. Amazon and Walmart offer faster delivery. So, guys, any comments about this?
Yeah, I'll start.
Sure.
I think the Mac Neo was at a point where I think was more that they didn't do a good planning. You'd think the market would react to that, but that it's a nice problem to have, I guess, because they know that product is very popular. So the Mac Neo MacBook Neo didn't come out. They didn't anticipate it, so you have to kind of expect that we're going to get 10 million people buying these MacBook Neos. Yeah, it's going to put a dent into inventory because you didn't forecast it properly. I mean, I'll spin it back over to the Mac Mini. The Mac Mini, the 256 is gone. They've took it off the site. You can't get it, and you only can get 512 with 24 gigs of RAM, and it's still pushed out to almost June because of AI. AI people are just loving the fact that these Mac Minis run their processes very, very good. And the Mac Minis have been just selling like crazy. They didn't forecast that one either. But how would they anticipate that? So you kind of the reason I bring that up is just the Mac Mini versus the MacBook Neo. Neo was reactive because of just didn't anticipate that it would be so immensely popular. And the Mac Mini, who would have known that all of a sudden that this would be a crazed reason why you can grab them? You have to. All these people are buying up all the Mac Minis for AI.
Yeah, I don't understand that. I mean, I run on-device models on my studio, but
studio
I guess
too.
Yeah, I mean, but on a single studio. But you hear about people buying 3 or 4 of these things, linking them together, even more than that, linking Mac Minis together, and then running their AI off of those for that purpose. And I think it's the Claw, whatever it is, Claw AI.
Claw. Yeah.
Open Claw, right?
It's open source. Yeah. So any other comments in terms of Supply Watch? Oliver says, sure, they pop into stores when limited inventory comes in, but the standard way to judge is by ship time. And ship time is what you'll find out when you go on the site. And it's now well into May, early June in terms of that.
Yeah, this is bringing back memories of the original iPhone launch where they would have on their website little green and red dot indicators indicating what stores had stock of which model.
All these trackers too.
Yeah. So this isn't any place Apple hasn't been before. I'm curious to see how the lessons they've learned from those previous successful product launches will play into how they handle this one going forward.
Yeah, and Peter, our Australian connection, just check the Apple Australia website. No 256 gigabyte Neos will be available until May 26th. 512 Neos, other than Indigo, unavailable for pickup until May 27th. Indigo 512 can be ordered and picked up today, which is interesting.
Yep.
Any other comments on this? We move on.
I'm almost beginning to wonder if they were producing just single colors at a time, trying to be able to push machines out to to all of the partner stores to meet at least some of the demand versus having everything short everywhere. Because it seemed that for a while you could get one color, and then now indigo. Yeah, it's just hard to find, I guess.
Yeah, we are getting lots of push messaging from our folks in the chat room, very active. Not just the Neo, other Macs. My local Apple store says they're totally out of 17 Pro and Pro Max, or anything less than 1 or 2 terabyte, which is unheard of for phones this time of year. So, yeah. All right. Let's look at the RAM situation. Costs are rising. Neo 2 getting more RAM is the question. And this comes from a CNET article. Apple expects significantly higher memory costs to affect the iPhone and the MacBook Neo. And this came out last week. And it talks about the quarterly, the reports with it. And then this out of Digital Trends, the next MacBook Neo could get a RAM upgrade. Yeah, in this economy, no less. So a good discussion, an article about that. I don't know what there is to say about RAM. So if you guys have things to add.
I mean, bottom line, supply chain. I mean, you just don't. They can't make enough of them. Don't have supplies. They aren't available. Solid state drives or say NVMe drives and then SSD drives are all in the same situation. The prices are insane right now. I mean, you buy a 1 terabyte drive, you spend almost
Yeah.
$200. I mean, I was buying them for $79 sometimes. So I mean, the prices have just have skyrocketed, and yeah, Apple's not going to be immune to it. And Tim pretty much said during the call that it was, there's no guarantee we may have to, increase the price. The good thing is they have relationships with their suppliers, then they did stockpile enough to hold them out for a bit, but there's only so much you can do.
Do you think Apple might move to controlling its own? I mean, it's controlling its. It's using its chips. It's using its own chips, but they're still dependent on production of other places. Do you think Apple's going to get into that market where they're going to be building chips? No, too much.
My opinion, I don't think so. It's not a business they need to be in. I mean, they got their vendors that are out there, with the ones that do make the chips and for them. So it's their design. It's they have to follow their guidelines, and then you'd rather outsource that because it's just to have to maintain a R&D and warehouses and all that stuff. It's just you got all those vendors out there to take care of that.
Yeah. Question again from
Although
Oliver.
it's
Go ahead, Eric.
It's not unheard of though. Like when Apple ran into display problems, for them to pay a company that already produces for Apple to build excess capacity and guarantee that it will get used. So I wouldn't be surprised if that happened, but that's not an immediate thing. That's it'll take a couple of years.
Right.
Yeah, this is an interesting.
Don't forget.
Yeah, go ahead, Brett.
Don't forget that. Yeah, there's also a geographic component to the supply chains of where in the world all of these different components are produced. So I think instead of Apple bringing the production of these components in-house, I think they're more likely to see them diversify in the locations where these different products are produced, so that if there's a disruption in one area of the world where that's going to hamper their supply chain, that they have other sources to fall back on.
Yep.
Yeah, and a comment from Oliver again. I wonder if they are stockpiling bin A19 Pro chips meant for the iPhone Air, but since that phone isn't selling well, maybe they're just putting those aside specifically for the second gen Neo. Oh man, it always gets to me when
you bet they're stockpiling those bin chips right now.
Yeah, but it always gets to me when people make assumptions about what's selling well and not what's not selling well, particularly since you're talking about my favorite phone in this comment. I
Knew where you're going there.
And the thing is, everybody I know who has one is not like, oh, I wish I never bought this damn phone. It's terrible.
No.
Everybody
No,
kind
you're
of
talking this.
the
You're talking to
iPhone
someone
Air.
here who had an
iPhone Air.
iPhone 13 mini,
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I
we-
loved it.
yeah.
Just our friend Brittany was the same way. She held on to it to
Yeah.
dear life, and then she finally gave in, and then just couldn't do it because it was just getting long in the tooth.
Yeah. Have you looked at the Air, Brett, just out of curiosity?
No, my mini actually broke this last year, so I had to get a iPhone 17. So I ended up with the base Pro model.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
well,
so not the Pro Max, just the Pro.
You got the 70 Pro.
yeah.
17
And our friend Brian in the chat said, love my 13 mini. Anyways, so
It's too small.
I've saved face for the iPhone Air. Every time I give it to someone, they go, "It's so light," and it's like, yeah, that's the nice part about it. But let's get back to what we're here for, which is the Neo. Next set of articles on repairability, and a couple of articles. One from Tech Yahoo. I hate saying Yahoo. Yahoo. Well, it's not just the rodeo sounding part of it. It's sort of like
That was their advertising years
yeah,
ago.
you're a real Yahoo means, to me is like it's so Yahoo Tech. The MacBook Neo could have extended life because of how repairable it is, which is an interesting twist on the repairability of it. And then a second article by BGR. Here's how much a replacement battery for the MacBook Neo will cost you. And an article that talks about the Neo, and then pay $134 to replace a battery in the MacBook Neo. But the idea that these things are more repairable, and for that reason they could have a longer lasting value. And I think of this in terms of school settings and enterprise. If they're that repairable, it could be that's a real benefit. I mean, a drop Chromebook is a bag of plastic. That's what you get. But with changing out a battery or swapping out something with a keyboard with a Neo, them being as repairable as they are, I think is an advantage to the device, but not something I thought about when I got mine.
Yeah.
I think having
Yeah.
the more repairable device and having it last longer is also it aligns with Apple's environmental priorities too.
Yeah. Yeah. Brian has in the comments, 134 doesn't sound like much, but when you compare it to the total cost of the device, it's quite significant percentage-wise.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, Dave, you're going to say something?
No, I was going to say, looking at iFixit, iFixit, they said it was the most repairable MacBook in 14 years. I mean, and if you go to review their article, it is incredible. I mean, the battery is screwed down for the first time in who knows how long, and there's no issues of pairing parts. I mean, they've made it so much more easier to repair. But Brian's right. He $134 for a battery. You're, especially if you have if you just have the base model, it can be it's a pretty high percentage of the cost of what you already paid for it. But some people look at it this way, like when people buy cars. Good example,
Mm-hmm.
I have my car. I'm gonna have to pay some repairs. It's going to cost me probably $3,000, and then I know I talk to somebody else that had to pay $4,000, and it's it's an older car, but I'd rather have that than a car payment. But I know that's a little different because a computer, unless you pay your payments, especially if you have like a MacBook Pro or something like that. But for the fact of the matter is that this is such a repairable Mac is crazy. The keyboard itself, it's all screws, no rivets, so you can take it out and actually literally pull it out and replace it.
So I think they gave it a 6 out of 10. as the most
for a-
repairable Apple product, and I'm like, okay, so if it's a 6 out of 10, what does it take to get to be a 10 out of 10? What do they just give you a bag of parts? And I just can't figure out what needs to get better for it to be a 7 or an 8.
Oh, I mean, the other thing you can look at too is they made the ports more module. You know, I've taken apart laptops in the past. I would repair them at work all the time, and just why am I doing this when we pay Dell to do it for us? I mean, it's a waste of my time, honestly. But you know, back when you're younger, you like to tinker, and that's how I did it when I built my first PC. You know, but to have these ports modular is amazing, because that's usually you don't have that option. Usually manufacturers make them with it's on the system board, and if it fails, it's the system board you have to replace, not just the ports themselves.
Yeah, I can't help but
to
put
answer.
Yeah, go ahead, Brett.
To answer Marty's question, I think what they're looking for is in some of the older, like PowerBook G3s, the keyboards were a separate module, and there were these spring-loaded clips that you could release, and the keyboard would flip up, and it would give you access to the memory or the special airport card back when you had to get a separate card in your laptop to have it get Wi-Fi. I think they're probably looking for something more like that to give a higher repairability score for.
Yeah.
Who says you can't learn something from watching or listening to this show? And we depend on our Australian friend Peter to say, Marty, Yahoo originated as a fictional term invented by Jonathan Swift in his 1726. Now, this feels like Jeopardy. Come on, Peter. In 17, put it in the form of a question. 1726 novel, Gulliver's Travels, to describe a race of brutish, filthy, and uncivilized human-like creatures. So, yeah, thanks. Thanks for that, Peter, for keeping us all highbrowed on that stuff. Let's see. Next area, the competition. We talked a little bit about this. And I'm going to maybe, try and get Dave to chat a little bit about this. We have 3 articles, one from 9 to 5 Mac, one from Windows Central, and another one from Tech Yahoo again. But this is Intel responds to MacBook Neo with a 21% faster chip intended for similar devices. And then the Windows Central, it's almost impossible to recommend a Surface laptop 13-inch. I compare it to the MacBook Neo after Microsoft's price hike. And so this is a comparison between the two, and the pros and the cons of both. And then another article here from Yahoo Tech. Watch out, Dell, Acer, and others. Apple could land a killing blow to budget Windows 11 laptops next year with an upgraded MacBook Neo. So they're already thinking about the upgraded version and where that might lead them. Interesting. It's interesting. I love it when you're, and I don't think Apple does this, look over their shoulder to see who's behind them. But in this race, they are already at the head of the pack, and that's a good position to be in.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with this wholeheartedly. I mean, Dell, Acer, Lenovo, all of the big PC makers they're worried about this, and especially Chromebooks. Chromebooks are made by other manufacturers, even though it's the Google platform. You got Asus, you got Acer, you got Dell, and all these others that are making Chromebooks. They got to start worrying about this, because this Neo is an amazing computer, and why wouldn't even we've talked about this. Enterprise is looking at it, and of course you got the education, like Marty, and I'm sure you've already told us that you've got some folks are already starting to look at it for the fall. That's what's going to be an interesting fourth quarter for Apple when it comes to the Neos. I think they better be ready to have these ready to go off of assembly lines and ready to to get into people's hands for the fall for education, because I can almost guarantee a ton of them are going to start moving. You know, we talked about it last week about the Kansas City school district that's going all in. That's one of the first larger school districts have decided to do that. So, I mean, their ROI on this is going to be incredible. I mean, you're going to have a serviceable laptop. You're going to have one that's going to be easy to manage. If they're not already using, if they aren't using Apple Business Manager or Apple School, it's called, to manage the school hardware, they probably were already. Apple enhanced that, so you know, with the new Apple Business, so they're making that part of it easier too. So this is like a no-brainer with the Neo for these markets. So yeah, Microsoft and all these PC manufacturers should be shaking their boots right now, honestly.
Yeah.
That doesn't even get into the how much power does the Neo use compared to the specs on like what Intel is putting out for their new chipset. You know,
Right.
4 watts. It's totally different from, what is it, 15 for their proposed laptop.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
but Intel still has to have a fan, still has to keep it cool, and don't have that problem with the Neo, regardless of the performance of the processor. I mean, that this 818 processor it just blows my mind how every week I say this on the show. It's just how incredibly the amazing performance that this chip has in the laptop, and how it does such a great job of managing the memory.
So if everybody's wish comes true and we get a one with more RAM in it, one with lighted keyboard, one with, and we have an article in here that says, I didn't buy we'll get to it. I didn't buy a MacBook Neo because there's 5 things they need to change before I'm going to put some money down on it.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So, is that going to affect, I mean, if they add all that stuff in, are we going to wind up dealing with fans or some type of cooling system?
Yeah.
Nope. You say no, Aaron?
there's no fan. There's no fan in the phone. If there's no fan in the phone, you're not going to need it in the Neo.
Yeah, well, with the phone, they do have, at least with the Macs, they have that cooling system.
Right.
That's
Mini.
new. Yeah.
Yeah, but if
Yeah,
you're
the vapor
using
chamber.
a chip that has fewer cores, it's going to run cooler.
Yeah.
Right.
And the laptop is a much bigger surface area to dump heat.
Yeah. Okay. So next section is what's ahead for Apple, the halo effect. I thought this was an interesting comment or article. This comes out of PC Gamer. And it is the MacBook Neo might help Apple become the 3rd largest laptop maker in 2026. And they work through some of the numbers and talk about the ramped up production that's going to happen this year, and make some predictions with projected sales of 43 million and 36 million units respectively. Talking about Lenovo and HP, then that means Apple would be coming in 3rd if they're able to do those what they have planned in terms of it. So this article, of course, the title captured it for me. MacBook Neo, it's time to be honest. Like, Neo's been lying to us. It's one of those conversations you're going to have with your Neo. I'm not after your clicks. I simply want to be honest. So this is the author saying this. Let's get this out of the way straight away. The MacBook Neo is a stunning bit of kit. I'll go down as one of Apple's finest. So, yeah, I mean, this is a kind of in praise of Neo article, which is really interesting. And talks about some traveling he did with it, doing his daily vlog, and dose of reality. So that's one article. This is the article that I alluded to before. I held off on the MacBook Neo. I hope the next one fixes these 5 paper cuts, is what he refers to it. This is coming from Digital Trends, and it's Shikar Madarata, and before I plonk, plonk cash on it. And what does he want? He wants
A different computer.
a different computer. Yeah, it's like plonk some money down on a MacBook Air. Okay. Don't expect to get what you want for $599 or $699. Yeah, and I love that, and I love the author trends on this. What's needed is a A19. What's needed is 12 gigabytes. He wants a standard backlit keyboard, Force Touch, not haptic trackpad. An iconic MacBook stable. And both ports have to be at USB 3 speeds, minimum. That could change if they change their processor, but right now that's not going to happen. So he really wants to purchase a MacBook Air. Yeah. For more than 5 years, Shikar has consistently simplified developments in the field of consumer tech and presented them. So
it seems like it's making it awfully complicated.
Yeah, I mean, simplified is correct. He did simplify that. Now, his logic, I think, was ridiculous, but that was one article. And because I have relatives who live in Manila or around Manila and visit Manila a lot, this thing came up from the Manila Times. So even folks in the Philippines are talking about it. MacBook Neo turns tech into a fashion accessory. And talks about the colors. And I just could not resist putting this article in. It's basically a review of the official launch began with exclusive drops. And it talks about basically its impact coming to the Philippines and the cost of the device in the Philippines. So kind of a fun article there. And then, go ahead.
I was going to. Oliver in the chat said that this is an article you click on when they want website traffic, and it's basically clickbait.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. Oops.
Yeah. Well, not against you. It's always good interesting to see those views. It's just. It is a vanity article in the sense that they're not really adding anything to the discussion. They're just saying from a Filipino perspective, this is how it was introduced in the Philippines. This is what it costs and things like that. And I do agree with Oliver on this because we had a discussion on this, the Vision Pro failure article posted by MacRumors as being clickbait too. So it was.
Yeah, it was crazy. We have a large section called the Community Corner. It's what Neo owners are saying. A lot of this comes from Reddit. And some of these articles were... some of these articles are more have been contributed, I think, from some of the folks on this panel, and other ones I found along the way. So I'm going to zoom through some of these, maybe stop on a few of them and see if there are comments. I just love the title. Damn you, Apple, for making a near perfect device that I don't need. It's a rant, but I'm sure many of you are in the same predicament. I have a iPad Air that I use daily with a Magic Keyboard case. I use it for nearly everything, zero complaints. I have a Mac Mini M4 that I use solely for music projects, zero complaints. The MacBook Neo doesn't do anything that either of those devices doesn't do for me, other than a portable Mac OS, which doesn't serve any purpose for me personally. However, the Neo was so affordable and nice looking, I couldn't turn it down. Damn you, Neo. And then, this is the one that I love so much. This is a post, and you'll have to see it in the video or go to the link to see it. But it is boxes and boxes of MacBook Neos. And it's posted to Reddit. I work in IT for a startup, and we're moving away from Chromebooks for light-duty work done by contractors. It's a significant upgrade, glad to be done with Chrome OS. This is the first batch of 90 plus, with another 150 on order from our distributor. Took about 4 weeks from the time that the order was placed for them to start trickling in. Somebody pointed out they're all 512 Indigos.
Huh.
And I think if you zoom into the picture, you can see just that. So yeah, interesting, kind of fun.
I wonder why they're sold out.
Yeah, that's what somebody said. It's like, you're the reason mine is on back order.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Peter Emery said, I didn't need the Neo either. It didn't stop me from getting one.
Yeah. I think we're all in that book here.
All of us are in that situation.
Yeah.
Some of us bought more than one.
First. FOMO.
Yeah. And then, Oliver, said, I ended up returning it since I literally couldn't justify there's nothing I can't do on my Air that can't do better. But that's Apple appeal. The Apple appeal is there. So, what else do we have here? Kansas City schools, we mentioned that. The Kansas City schools are switching to MacBook Neo. And there's a post on there where you can listen to the discussion of folks, or not listen, but watch the discussion of folks regarding that. MacBook Neo for programming. We mentioned that last week. And this is it goes in a little bit more detail about this person in particular was interested running simultaneously Express.js backend, Next.js frontend, and PG admin. And then talks a bunch of gibberish that I don't quite understand, but basically talking about users or programmers can you appreciate insights. And so if you are into that level of programming and development with the detailed scenarios that they have here, you might want to take a look at that link. I don't know any comments from the group on programming.
I know it's being looked at many companies. You want to check it out and see if it's capable of doing a lot of the things that the companies need for programming. It might be near, because like Docker is very popular, use the product. And actually, the comment was mentioned in there about that they might have a bit of a struggle with it.
Yeah. Oliver suggests that I run the show using my MacBook Neo because they notice how many tabs I have open. Those tabs are all the articles that are in the notes. I put them into Workana and then have them ordered in the direction of what we're going to be speaking about, and then open them and said, show the, if all those tabs can, I might do that. But I've got 3 other people here who are depending on me doing this right. So,
and our audience for that matter.
Yeah. Let's not forget the audience.
Yeah. Don't forget the chat room.
Yeah. So let's see, what else do we have? Some questions here about battery drain. I'd like to talk about that. There's one on music making. It talks about 10% for every hour, which means, and the person is saying they're not doing a lot. And there's some people questioning about, you're hitting about half the advertised battery life with it and stuff. When they say 16 hours, I go,
Normal use.
Yeah. No, what is normal use? Normal use is you keep it shut. And, I consider what I do with it normal use. And I certainly don't get anywhere near 16 hours. So.
Yeah.
I will say, if it's something that bothers you and you're trying to get studying done, you can run like even a phone backup battery, or add-on battery, or get one of those little packs, and that will boost it if you're sitting in a library or something where you can't plug in.
Yeah, we've talked about that, and actually I think we recommended a few on this show. I carry one of those with me if I know I'm not going to be, and generally am around an outlet, or if I'm in a classroom using it for doing presentations. I'm at a computer station that has plugins, so I don't worry too much about power with it because I'm not too far from it. But I do notice just on use, it seems like if I continue to use it the way I used it without plugging in, I would not get anywhere near 16 hours, 10 maybe. And I did run it one time all day without plugging in, and it gave me about 10. And luckily it was dinner time, so I came home from work.
And I guess the only other thing I would mention is there are a lot of commenters out there when somebody gets a new Neo that say, oh, you can download all of these utilities and you can download this add-in and it'll behave like a Windows machine, or it'll give you a look and feel. But all of those little utilities that run aren't necessarily efficient, and that can affect things as well. So, yes, it can run, it can do a whole lot, but I don't know if I would recommend the first thing you do is download a bunch of apps to make it change its behavior.
Yeah, you're really setting it up for death by 1,000 paper cuts there. And it's a lot more than the 5 from the author in the previous article.
Yeah, you're going to have to plonk down some cash to buy a new one. And do people actually, does the cash actually go plonk when it hits the table?
Yeah, it used to be plink, but it's not silver anymore, so now it's plonk.
Now it's plonk. It's some weird stuff that shows up, and just from the title of this, and I don't think it's clickbait, it's Reddit, all right? But the bottom of my MacBook Neo is really slippery.
Ew.
What can I get to stop it?
How about this? A case.
Yeah. Dave's got a case. We'll talk about that when we talk a little bit about traveling and when you take it and when you don't take it. Is a good point to talk about a couple of things that David has gotten to do with it. But the suggestion here is look for some self-adhesive rubber feet on Amazon. I'm trying to figure out what it's slipping on. I've tried sticking some duct tape to the bottom of the feet, but it hasn't made much difference. What are they? Are they flying on the Vomit Comet? I don't understand why they're.
Well, I mean, the feet are designed to quietly and easily slide back and forth on a desk surface. Mm-hmm. So, I can understand why you might get some slipping, but are they spraying the surface with oil first? I'm not sure.
Okay, I just thought of a joke in my head that I'm not going to say, but I'll share it with you guys after the show.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so that's
Already, Neo Notebook After Dark has started.
Yeah.
so let's talk about David, let's go ahead with this because there was an article in here about case recommendations. And I finally decided to get a MacBook Neo, and I got a case for it. I also got a
Well,
case for my MacBook Air 217, but I noticed a tiny air gap when the lid is closed, so I decided to take it off. Talk about cases, if you will,
yeah,
Dave.
this is a case that got actually recommended by our friend Patrice on the Mac show. That it's made by Fintie, Fintie. I'll give you a link. We can put it in the show notes. Uh, it's a just a plastic cover case that goes around it, and here it is here. More of the reason I have it is because I want to be able to put my sticker on there, but because
Yeah.
I refuse to put stickers on my laptop directly. So, but there's no gaps, there's no nothing. I mean, the bottom on the back here I'm showing on camera, uh, it's got the ventilation here that now that it's on here, but you shouldn't really need it. But I mean, these feet are probably about the same. They're a little more larger size. That's probably going to help it a little bit. It's like $12.59. Costs nothing
Yeah.
compared to going all through all that stuff. But then I also got the Tom Talk case here. That's this here, which is really nice. And this one actually comes with an extra little case here that slides out here, so you can put your accessories inside a little case instead of it floating around in that front pouch and risk you forgetting to zipper it up and stuff falls out, which happened to me a few times.
It happened to me this weekend.
Yeah. So, but those are the two cases, and I got them for my Air and for my Pro as well. So,
Yeah, we had a little bit of a discussion, I think, with Chuck Joyner on his show,
Yeah.
or it was before some show, and I always put cases on it, despite all the people who are saying, "Don't put cases on it; it's going to create a separation, and grit will be caught between the case and the laptop, and it'll all get scratched up because the sand from the beach is going to get in there." And doesn't happen. But like you, David,
this is made really well. This is made really well. I mean, this is actually not a vent. It's just
rib.
It's a rib. Just
rib for your pleasure. But
oh,
I'm sorry, I had to go there.
yeah, you did.
Yeah.
I have to say, I really like sleeves.
Yeah.
It's easy to slide stuff in. You got a little bit of room if you got to stick a piece of paper or something in there. It adds a little bit of cushioning, so if you then put it in a backpack with a bunch of other crap, it's less likely to have damage. So I'm using a sleeve. Although the idea of putting a skin on that maybe.
Yeah, I can't do. I do clear cases generally.
Yeah.
Because I want whatever color or whatever I have to come through on that, and particularly with the Neo. And I searched for a case before I was even able to get my Neo to see if anybody was producing them, and I couldn't find one until about the time they came out. And I received it. Then you started to see some production of them coming, which surprised me because they knew what the specs were on it. But it took them a while to ramp up production to get these things going. And I now have clear cases on both of my Neos and on my other laptops, primarily for what David has pointed out. It's kind of nice to be able to slap stickers on it. And after MacStock, you get a bunch of stickers and, take them into classrooms, open it up, and it's there. And I'm not putting them directly on the aluminum, which will cause, a suntan lines, if you want to call it that way, when you peel them off. I know D brand is a quality brand for doing those kind of what do they call them? They're not stickers, but Eric, you
Skins?
just skins, yeah.
Skins.
And supposedly those don't leave any residue with them when you take them off. But I wind up selling it back, and I take it out of the case, and it looks brand new because I haven't dealt with any scratches or bumps or things like that. So. Yeah, I am still a fan of cases, despite what people say in terms of warning. Peter Emery suggests maybe just use a manila folder instead of a sleeve or a case. And this one comes from Oliver, who said, Marty, you better not use a case on your iPhone Air. I got news for you, Oliver. I have a case on my iPhone Air, but it's just one of those paper thin ones. Extremely, I forget what it is. It's Totally, maybe? I don't think it's Totally. But yeah, it's paper thin. And so, yeah, too late. I've already screwed up, according to Oliver. So. Let's see if there's anything else. I don't understand this. First of all, this is either the smartest dad or the dumbest dad in the world. Replaced my daughter's MacBook and watched her run and kick it out of her laptop bag. I replaced my daughter's Air because she dropped it a few times on concrete. Oof. And then I watched her again be careless while running to meet friends, hit the bag from behind while running, and ejected the laptop into the air behind her. This time it's got AppleCare, but it's the whole laptop, right? And it has a picture, has more than, oh man, it's got more than one picture of that. Oof. Yeah, and there are some parenting skills that are the folks in a response. It's like the only way some people learn to take care of things is when they lose access to it. Time for a Chromebook. So yeah, yeah. So that was a fun article.
I like the comment that said paper pens and highlighters.
Yeah, that's it.
Totally analog.
That's a portable notebook. Yeah. We have another article. We won't get to it because we're running sort of long, and I want to get your feeling on the topic for tonight. GeoForce Now criticizes the performance of MacBook Neo. It's an interesting kind of thread. GeoForce Now users in the GeoForce Now community discussing their experience running cloud gaming on the MacBook Neo, with some reporting that the Neo's single USB 3 port and USB 2 right side port create challenges for wired Ethernet setups. Performance criticisms. GFN is not about the Neo's local processing power, but about the network connectivity, specifically that plugging into a hub into the right USB 2 port for Ethernet dramatically throttles the wired connection compared to plugging that into the left USB 3 port. So,
okay. Does that
no
matter?
surprises there. Yeah.
Plug it into the other port.
Yeah, or just buy a Switch. Play your games on Switch.
The whole intent of the Neo is to be portable. You're not going to be, unless you're hardcore, then you need to get a wired connection. Wi-Fi should be sufficient.
Yeah.
Just get a Vision Pro.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, you can walk around that way. So just topic for tonight, and I thought about this just because my week going back and forth to work. The question is, so when do you find yourself talking about taking with you your Neo versus you're going, I think I'm going to need something else?
Yeah,
And
I've been taking it. I like to have my personal laptop with me at work as well as I obviously have my work Mac. And I've been using the Neo quite a bit lately as just the laptop I need to do things that I don't want to be doing on work internet. So and it's been fine. I mean, I've been happy with it. It's good, got good performance. I mean, I even did again. We've talked about if I have to do any parallels work with Windows and being able to do some casual video editing, and it's been fine. So, but I always have the Air 2 to fall back on as well. So,
yeah. Anybody else?
I do this pretty much the same. I carry my MacBook Neo with me when I go to work, and then I'll also have some backup iPad Pro and iPad Mini in case I run into my nieces, and then I got to have those to entertain them while I play on my Neo.
there you go. Yeah, I have
I
my iPad Pro 13 I can carry with me too.
Yeah, I do. I take my Neo to work probably 90% of the time. There are a couple of days, a couple of times a month where I am going to be sitting in meetings or workshops or retreats where I want larger real estate. And so on those days, I'll take my 15-inch MacBook Air, the M5, and have much more room to do multiple windows and share things. Frankly, I would love it if I could just bring a second portable monitor. But that's a little obvious when you're sitting in a retreat and you have a second monitor that you're really not paying attention.
Yeah.
I managed to get it, not managed, it was easy enough for me to use as a device for doing presentations when I'm in class. I typically don't run video through it in terms of HDMI out and sound, not because it's not capable of doing it, but because our university computer stations are so wonky that they change from room to room that you can never get assured when you're plugging in where that cord really goes, and whether you're going to, what multiple settings you have to change in order to get it to work. So some stuff that I have to show in terms of video, if it's YouTube, or if it's a site that I have, I just run it off the main station computer. But typically 90% of my work is now done on Neo. And that's primarily meetings. When I'm sitting in my office, I can plug the Neo in. I've got an external monitor, and that gives me a little more real estate. But I'm not spending a lot of time in my office. I'm either spending it out in other rooms and meetings or teaching. So it's on that rare occasion, couple of times a month, where I think I'm going to need more real estate because I'm sitting through a 3-hour meeting. And that's when I take my larger MacBook Air. Don't really take the MacBook Pro Max, MacBook Pro Max that I got. It's not. I'm not using it as much. That'll be a road trip computer probably for that kind of thing. But right now the Neo's managing to work everything that I need to work. Now, Eric, I know you have had a complex work combination, so I'm going to try and let you explain that.
Yeah, and it's kind of changing a little bit, but I have, so when I travel right now, it is the Neo and iPad, a phone, and a Vision Pro. But unless I'm doing something either Mac related or editing or something like that, if it's just relatively basic stuff, a lot of it's just on the Neo. And then I switch out other devices if I either need more than one device active at a time. I guess I sort of got spoiled because I always had more than one machine that I was working on, because I'd be working on something, it would get tied up and busy, and then I switch to another device. So if I need something where I need lots of real estate to think, then I use the Vision Pro plus Neo. If I'm just sitting on the sofa and trying to keep track of something and responding to people, the Neo on its own. I don't need a Vision Pro for that. If I'm in the car or a coffee shop, it depends on whether whatever I'm working on is supposed to be private, in which case then I might use a Vision Pro plus Neo. Otherwise, it's just a Neo. For some of the image stuff, I have it on an iPad just because I can zoom in and out. The Neo doesn't have a touchscreen. So yeah, I found that I am using the Neo a lot more than I expected to. And even at home, I've got a bunch of stuff running on a Mini. I've got what is it, Olama and
LM Studio.
Gamma 4 running
Yeah.
for for AI stuff within the house. And that actually, I mean, I've run it on the Neo for like really basic stuff. I've got this plant. What's the depth I'm supposed to plant it on? It comes back with an answer. I have 48 eggs and I need to use them up. Give me 3 recipes. Gives me an answer. Occasionally I'll have more complicated questions like, help me write a resume to answer this particular job description. And while it'll answer, it will take a long time. Then I just go to my Mini and do it that way. Just remote in. But I'm still using the Neo to do it. I'm not walking down the steps to get to my Mini. So I'm using my Mini less, and I'm using my iPad less than what I used to.
And I've got a question for all of us, and maybe we can ponder different answers. And this comes from Oliver, who said, "This is a genuine question to the panel." I'll post it up here. Since you all have the option of a MacBook Air, what's the incentive to use the Neo? It's not like it's more portable than a 13-inch Air. And I'll start. I don't have a 13-inch Air. I have a 15-inch Air. I used to have a 13-inch Air and then sold that back in order to be able to get other products in line, because I knew I was going to get a Neo, or did get the Neo, and that would have been my 13-inch machine. The 15-inch, when I had the 13-inch, I was using the 15-inch more than I was the 13-inch. And you could argue then, well, then why did you get the Neo if you're using the 15-inch? For me, it's size, portability. It's also the fact there's a big cost difference if my Neo is stolen versus my 15-inch MacBook Air M5. Please steal the Neo before you steal my 15-inch MacBook Air. And I don't worry too much about that in the environments that I'm in, but it is possible. I don't hang around coffee shops and leave my laptop. First of all, I don't hang around coffee shops. But secondly, I don't leave my laptop on the table while I go in to take a leak. So yeah, for me, it's a bit of portability. It's a bit of convenience, smaller form factor, less I have to take with it. And it does, like I said, 90% of what I need, unless I need more screen space. Anybody else have a good answer to that a question of why an Air versus? So we'll go to Eric.
So I intended on buying a MacBook Air. I have a 14-inch M1 Pro Max, and I bought an M4 Mac Mini And so I was doing stuff on that, and I thought, oh, at some point the Air will come out with an M5, and then I'll go with that. The only reason I was really looking at it is I wanted a computer to take with my Vision Pro, because it was easier than trying to pair a keyboard and all the rest of it. It's more stable. And the Neo just happens to work really well for that. It's not having to do a ton of work. I have another machine that can do work that's a little bit more extensive, that's got more memory. I just don't find I need that on the Neo. So my day-to-day, if I'm out and about and traveling around, it's the Neo. Now, as a backup, I still have the iPad, because sometimes when I'm transferring stuff from my camera, the iPad's got a faster connection. It's faster to do it that way. But just basic doing things, the Neo pretty much covers it, and the heavier workload, it goes to a Mini. And the fact that I've got the Neo makes it so that the Mini works better. I had for a while just been carrying around the iPad to use as a portable display with the Mini, and it worked, but it was cumbersome. The Neo removes all of that inertia.
Yeah, I remember you talking about the portability of a Mac Mini in order, and then did you have some sort of external battery power source that would run it? Because you were saying next conference you just need next Mac stock, just bring this and this and this.
Yeah. I was using one of the Milwaukee Tools batteries. Slide that together, it lasts all day. Now, oddly enough, with the Neo, it really lasts all day. It's nice.
Yeah. I don't know if anybody else has comments on your choices. I think I appreciate that question, Oliver. It's very good question. And it's a question that you see a lot. People in Reddit, should I get this or should I get that? What's the advantages? What's the disadvantages? And yeah, it's a unique situation that some of us, at least with this group, have both options to choose from. Because we're kind of... Yeah. Go ahead, Brett.
Oh, okay. No, for me, the choices have been between the MacBook Neo and then I have a iPad Pro M2 with the keyboard attached to it. And the Neo, because the Neo was a replacement for my original M1 MacBook Pro, the old version that had the touch bar, not even with like the Max or Pro chips in it. It was just the standard M1 MacBook Pro. And I know that's getting to be pretty old, so I know that's going to be due for replacement soon. So I bought the Neo as a replacement for that. And for me, the deciding factor is whether I need a lot of the more multitasking type functions. Because even though the iPad OS has been updated nicely with the windowing features and a little bit more robust multitasking, the more stuff like if I'm traveling and taking photos and videos and stuff and I want to transfer those to an external drive for safekeeping and backups while I'm traveling until I get back home, that's something the iPad with its single port on it doesn't do very well. And so having a laptop device that has two USB ports, albeit if one of them is a little bit slow, is something that's better suited to that task. So that's my main factor in whether or not I need to carry my Neo around versus my iPad Pro with keyboard.
Okay. And I just want to put this comment in because this shows you that our Australian friend Peter Emery is a real road warrior. I used to have a 2007 Intel Mac Mini I'd take to the Mac user group meetings along with a 15.4-inch LCD display that fitted all in my 17-inch backpack.
Yeah.
So, yeah, cool that way.
Good combination.
Dave has put the Neo cases links into the show notes. So when I produce the audio and video version of this show, that information will be in there if you're looking for a clear case for a MacBook Neo or the TomTalk sleeve for the MacBook Neo. I want to mention briefly MacStock. Virtually we're all four little squares on a flat screen, but come July 9th, we'll all be at MacStock, and myself and David are doing presentations with MacStock, and we always look forward to it because it gives us an analog version to connect with each other. And so MacStock is coming up July 9th. July 9th is actually the eCam workshop, and then 10th, 11th, and 12th is the full conference, MacStockConference.com. Even if there's no way in the world you're going to be there, take a look at the website, and take a look at the website a couple of weeks from now as you start to see what speakers are there, because they do have virtual tickets so you can get all of the presentations, video, and later on if you can't be there physically. But being there physically is nothing like that, nothing like anything. I've been, I think, 9 out of 10 years that I've been to it and enjoy it so much. It's a great thing for the summer. It is in Woodstock, or near Woodstock, actually, Crystal Lake, Illinois, and just outside of Chicago. And Brett will be coming from California.
Yeah, from San Diego.
From San Diego. Yeah, I didn't know if you were you were going around the planet the other direction to get here, or if you're actually flying straight from San Diego.
No, that was 2 years ago.
And David lives in the neighborhood, so he'll be there. And Eric lives in Wisconsin, so he'll drive down for an hour there. I'm driving from Ohio. But we'll all converge upon MacStock, MacStockConference.com, July 9th through the 12th. Brian says, can't wait for summer camp. So Brian will be there. And it's a great experience. If you do register for the event, you can use Pod Talk in checkout, and you'll get $50 off your registration. Mike Potter has made that available to his podcasting friends who, are enthusiastic and all a part of MacStock. So, look for Pod Talk when you check out, and you should get a $50 discount with that. So let's go around the horn and figure out where we can find you. So where can we find you? We'll start with David.
Yes, you can find me at In Touch with iOS, intouchwithios.com, YouTube channel, youtube.com/intouchwithios. Here on Sunday nights, the Neo Notebooks, Mondays on Vision Profiles, Tuesdays, Mac Voices Live, Thursdays we record In Touch with iOS, and Fridays, Mac Show on the British Tech Network, and Blue Sky Mastodon, Dave G65.
Eric.
I can be found on Mastodon at eabolden at mas.to. Otherwise, here Sundays on the Neo Notebook, Mondays on Vision Profiles, Tuesdays on Mac Voices Live, and Thursdays on In Touch with iOS.
Brett.
So Mastodon is my place to hang out these days. B Kennedy at twit.social. And Sunday evenings, you'll find me here on the Neo Notebook. And Sunday afternoons, you'll find me reminding Marty to send out the show notes.
Thanks for that. Yeah. Backstory on that.
You're welcome.
I worked. Yeah. Thank you for texting me. I mentioned early on in the show dealing with end of the semester, having to move out of my office because they're doing all sorts of reconditioning on our floor, and my son's wedding coming up this next weekend. So I'm pretty exhausted, and I jumped on getting the show notes done early today and then forgot to send them out, and woke up from a nap in the early evening, and I had a message from Brett saying, "Hey, are we doing a show tonight?" And it was like, oh, so the show notes came out to these guys a little late, but lots of good information in it, and you can check into that. Find me at Gencius it's at Jencius on Blue Sky and Mastodon is how you can connect with me. I'm on all the other shows that folks have talked about. Neo Notebook, of course, on Sunday. Vision Profiles on Monday. Chuck Joyner's show. Mac Voices on Tuesday. Dave's show on Thursday with In Touch with iOS. But a lot of other podcasts I'm wrapped up in and produce. You can find at the podtalk.net. That's the website, thepodtalk.net. And you'll find ways to connect with me there too. So check that out. Thanks to folks in the chat room. Man, you've been active. It's been fun. It's kept my fingers busy. And all of your points are on, all of your comments are on point. So thanks to Brian at our friend Brian Flanagan Arthurs, who does his own show called From the Desk of Brian. So check that out. Does a great podcast with that. Peter Emery from Australia, and then also we have Oliver Niehaus. Thanks for joining us. And early on, we had another person in the group. Craig was with us in the group for a little bit. So thanks for joining us on the YouTube channel. You can be part of that group with the live show Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern time. And you just sign into the YouTube channel, which you'll get that information. It's youtube.com/@the-neo-notebook. And that's our YouTube channel. You can find this show and past shows on our YouTube channel. And thank you all for joining us with that. You can contact us at the podtalknetwork@gmail.com. And again, our website is thepodtalk.net. So now it's your turn to spread the word to other neophyte users, and we'll see you next time.